Okay, so now let us talk about this chord progression again. So we had A, remember? Tonight, let's see, I sing. Tonight I'm alone with D, I'll chew my back to A. Still there, do 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 E. A, do 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 do, back to D, do 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 do, back to A, do A, do do E, do do O. So now, if you want to do your chopping, you know what chopping is? It's where you play on the offbeat. Okay, you chop on the offbeat, very short. You get right by the frog and So these chords I've just showed you, any of those can be used for the chop, you know. You don't have to do this one. You can do this one, or you can just go that kind of thing. So there's a lot of options there. So now let's talk about how you get from, the first chord transition is from A to D, right? So we're going from the 1 chord to the 4 chord, right? All right, well, there's a certain thing you can do. If you go from the 1 to the 4, if you stick a 1-7 in there, it telegraphs where you're going and you have no other place to go. If you're going from 1 to 4, any 1 to 4 relationship in Western music, if you play a 1 chord and a 1-7 chord, there's nowhere else to go but the 4. So everybody who's paying attention and knows will go to a 4 chord. There's no doubt in anyone's mind. There's nowhere to go but there. It's just the nature of Western music. You would never go to the 5 from a 1-7. You'd never go anywhere else but to the 4. So that's useful because we can use it again to telegraph. If people don't know the tune, I lay on that and most people will know that I'm going to a 4 chord. All right, so how that would sound is like this. Can you hear it? Yep. You know, there's just nowhere else to go. So if I'm playing, say I'm playing here. Okay. All right. So let's just play that. So now we're going to play the A triad, but now we're going to make it a 4-note arpeggio. And look at all the combinations for. We've just added, you know, probably half as many again places to play the A7 chord now. So, but first let's play the triad. So it's going to sound like this. Just listen. Let's play that. One more time. Okay. Now, let's play on up. Let's play all the way up to this A and add that G in, okay? Here we go. So now let's do what we did before, playing chords. Let's see how many different chords we can play with that G in it. So obviously one would be to play this A with the G, which I think is a pretty cool sounding chord actually. Okay. We could play that G with the C sharp on the G string. Okay. We can play that G with the open A. And that's really tight. That's like an interval of a second, so it's really pronounced tight harmony, really grabs you, you know. Okay, now let's play the G with the C sharp on the, there we go. Now we can play this G with the E on the A string. Now let's play the open A with the G on the E string. which isn't a bad sound either, you know. We can play this, the C on the A string with the open G.
How are you fingering that?
So I'm playing the C with the third finger. Yeah, you gotta change, your fingering has to change a little bit, right? And then lastly, I can play this G with the E on the A string. It's an interval you got to get used to at first, I think. But really, all that is a C. That's really like part of a C chord, something like that. So there's some possibilities when you go to that 7. So let's see if we can find it in this tune. It goes by pretty fast. Let's see here. We'll just let it run and we'll mess with it as much as we can here. We'll just, for now, we're going to ignore the bridge when they go to the bridge. So. Needs to be a little louder for us to use it that way. Okay, let's just chunk it, and you'll have to put up with my warbling the verse here. So we're gonna start. Let's just start with this here. So we're gonna play for the A. We're gonna play the E on the D string with the open A, and for the 7 chord, the A7 chord, we're gonna play the G on the D string with the open A. Really. And then for the D, we're gonna do this. And back to the A. Okay, so here we go. Tonight I'm alone without you, my dear. One more time. Tonight I'm alone without you, my dear. Good, good, okay. Okay, now we have to get ready to play the 7 chord, the 5-7 chord. Okay, so let's mess with that a little bit. So I said the 5 chord in A is E, right? Okay, so the notes of that chord we're going to need are E, G sharp, and B. But if we want it to be this E7 chord, we're going to have to add the D. Okay, so let's play, first just listen one time. Just play this, try this 4-note thing, listen. Okay. One more time. Good. Now let's play all the possible E's, G sharps, B's, and D's. Okay, so we're going to start right here. We're going to ignore this guy. We're just going to start on this B. And so it's going to be, so anytime you have the opportunity comes when you have a B, an E, a G sharp, a B, or a D. So let's start right here. Again. And really, this seems like, this may seem a little tedious what we're doing, but if you'll do this for every key, to where you can play these few arpeggios in every key, like automatically, it'll improve your ability to play with a group playing bluegrass like exponentially. You'll immediately, all these possibilities will open up to you because, you know, and again, there are natural players who don't know any of this. Do you know Robert Russell, who was here last year? He's a big kid. He started coming here years ago playing banjo, and now he's playing fiddle. And he's great, you know, and he doesn't really know one note from another. And every lick he plays is, I want to steal, you know, but he's not into any of this at all. But for me, the intellectual exercise is the only way I was able to get wrap my head around. So there are very natural players who can play the dickens out of this music without knowing one chord from the next, but I'm not one of them. So, but if you can play these arpeggios dead cold, it will like help you so much in trying to improvise and just play along, you know, and not hit clams to start with. That's always the first objective, is not to hit wrong notes, you know. Because they're contrary to what you hear some people say, there's no wrong note. Oh yeah, there is. There's a lot of wrong notes to be played. All right, let's try that again. Start on this B here. You know, and as I play these, you might hear me playing with the third a little bit, like. Because that's the other big note in bluegrass to play with, besides the 7, is the third. It's because the third is where the blues resides, you know. So, well, like when we're doing on those little what was it, Footprints in the Snow, you know. That's messing with the third, you know. Okay. All right. So now let's play through the rest of the first part again with my horrific singing, and so now when we come to the E7 chord, to the E chord time, what shall we play? Shall we play? We want to use the D, open D, so we can do that. Oh, we haven't played all the chord possibilities yet, have we? Let's do that first. So we want all the E chords, E7 chords we can play. So it has to have this must be the dump truck parade today. They're filling a hole somewhere. So we want all the possibilities that incorporate the D. So I'd say the first would be to play the B on the G string with the open D. Good, good. Then we can play the B on the A string with the open D. Okay, then we can play the G sharp on the A string with the D on the G sharp on the D string with the D on the A string, sorry. Okay, then we can play the D on the A string with the open E. Ouch. And then we can play the D on the A string with the G sharp on the E string. Then we can finally play the D on the G string, on the A string with the B on the E string. Okay. All right. Woo. That's hard on the ears a little bit, but that's okay. Now, one more thing about finding these 7 chords, I'll say, is that if I'm playing, let's see, let me go back to the D. Remember in D I was playing D, F sharp, C, and D, right? That was my 4 notes in the D7 chord realm. It happens that, and again, this is about finding the places, finding chords easily. It sometimes means just knowing a pattern. So if I play, let's see, the C on the G string, play me that note. Now on top of that, put the F sharp on the D string. Okay, now, what intervals am I playing? I'm playing the 7th, right? And I'm playing the 3rd, right? Agree with that? Okay, in D. In D, I'm playing the 7th and the 3rd. Okay, now if I keep going with that across the fingerboard, now play me the F sharp on the D string with the C on the A string. Okay, now the interval is the 3rd with the 7th on top. So I went from playing the 7th on the bottom to the 3rd on top, with the 3rd on the bottom to the 7th on top. Now if I go one more step further and play with my 2nd finger the C on the A string, with the F sharp on the... Now I'm playing the 3rd on the bottom with the 7 on top. Okay, so if I do that just like this, I go... So what's happening is it's flipping. And that can be useful in knowing where to go from that place. You know, like if I'm playing here, if I'm playing here, for instance, knowing this is a 3rd, I automatically know what the other intervals are. Like, there's the tonic, 3rd, 5th. So this is one of those little pattern things that has nothing to do with, it's, when you hear people improvising, they're using patterns because the patterns enable you to quickly play something that fits without having to think about what the notes are, you know. So that's a really useful pattern right there. But just knowing that these 7th chords intervals flip as you go up over one string, and this is a very recognizable pattern. You know, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. But that works anywhere on the fingerboard. The key would be different, but that pattern works even if I don't know what note I'm starting on. I have no idea what that is, but the intervals are exactly the same. So that's the critical bit, you know, is knowing that those intervals flip, and as a result, all the other notes lie off of that, you know, where you'd be. It's sort of like using that K position thing, you know. Again, it's a position thing that you can totally play out of by ear without even having to know what notes are being played, or, you know, and it works anywhere on the fingerboard irrespective of what key you're in. So that's just one of those little tip things about patterns. There's you know, way more of those too, but that's one that fits with what we're doing right now. Okay, so let's go back to playing the tune now. Let's see. Gosh, it was a long way to get there, but so we're gonna go. So we're gonna go tonight, without you, my dear. It seems there's a longing for you. Now we're gonna play. I'm gonna play E on the D string and D on the A string. Okay. Now the E chord. One more time. So that's now the chord changes, and so you know now if you were playing and someone else is playing, you could chunk, right? Or you could play held notes, you know, using any of those notes we were messing with. If it sounds good, get in there. Remember, always safe note is 1 and 5. Always safe. 3 can be problems, but really 3 doesn't give you a problem on this tune. There's nothing minor going on. Or you can play the 7 on the 4 or the 5. Works, and the 7 on the 4 sounds so great, you know, because that's the bluesiest thing you can possibly do, you know. Okay, so how are we doing on time? Oh, we're about out of time, aren't we? Okay, so let's see. I think tomorrow I'll just keep going with this same thing, but let's do a little bit more here. What can I go? Where was I going to go with this? Let's see. Oh, let's try just play the melody. So I'll play you my little take on the melody. I'll just record what I do for a melody. It'll be kind of cobbled together, but we'll see what happens here. Okay, Little Cabin Home on the Hill, just kind of single note melody. Sorry. That's it. Let me start over here. One more time. Okay, so that's the basic melody of the verse. Now, have anybody ever heard of Joe Venuti? He's a great jazz violinist. So he wrote this book called Violin Rhythms, which I think it's back in print as a PDF. You can buy it online, but it's basically page after page of, you know, I don't want to call them exercises, but examples of rhythmic ideas in jazz violin. But the best part of the book is like the preface he writes. He talks about playing tunes three ways: straight, stylish, and hot, you know. So straight is just what I just did right then. And stylish is where you style up the melody a little bit, but it's still the melody, you know. And then hot means riffing on the chords, you know, playing something unrelated to the melody over the top of the chords. But you can go a long way in bluegrass and in jazz, actually, playing straight and stylish, you know, because what I was doing there was pretty straight. Like, let's see if I can style it up and still, if you style up the melody, it should still sound like the melody, you know. You should still be able to recognize what the melody is. So I'll play it straight once, and then I'll try to add some garbage that makes it sound more stylish. But even just doing that, so, you know, because the real melody is. Feeling too inspired, but you get the idea. You know, you just add a few extra notes, change the rhythm a little bit, but you can make a nice solo out of that. You don't have to play the monster hot solo to have something that's really fun to listen to and functional, fits. And so I always try to learn the basic melody, like the most bare bones melody first on a song, and then go from there to try to, you know, add a double stop here and there. You know, I did a little transition, like, you know, like we did the da, 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 so I can do that within the melody. Like that, but you still tell what the tune is.